Hi, I'm Kathy Lindsay. Welcome to FPB's Meet the Candidates. This Cable 10 program allows you, the viewer and the voter, to hear directly from our candidates. We've gathered questions from the community, and now we get to hear directly from the candidates how they feel about issues that are important to us. This is all leading up to the primary election, which is on May 17th. Today we're lucky because we have Lambert Moore here, and he is a candidate for magistrate in the 6th District, and he currently holds that seat, so he's running for re-election. So let's welcome Lambert Moore. Hi.
Thank you. Hello. Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. It's always nice, especially when our incumbents come, because you know they've been in the seat and there's a lot to talk about, things that have been happening.
They've done the damage, and now time to fix it.
Time to talk about it. So, but we may have some new folks in our community who aren't familiar with you. So why don't we just start out by you just telling us a little bit about yourself and your experience and how long you've held this seat and stuff like that.
Okay, well, I'm the 11th of 13 kids, Chester and Suzanne Moore. We've lived in Frankfort since the late 1700s, early 1800s, my family has, and mostly in the 6th District. Mm-hmm. I first ran for this 20 years ago, this position, and I've done my best at what we do, and running the business of the county and getting projects done in my district. So that's about it. I'm married to Sheila Moore, and I have 2 kids, Katie and Austin.
Okay. Well, let's jump right in because, like I've said before, you've held this seat for a while, so you're familiar with. Yeah. Inevitably, the fiscal court has multiple organizations approach them with projects, and they're requesting money for these projects. Of course. And it can be anything from, we have needs for the homeless, the Humane Society, the schools always have something, expanded broadband, all kinds of stuff, projects that need to happen. And so they need money from the fiscal court.
Right.
What has been your experience, and how do you handle those requests? And then if you could share with us kind of what your priorities are as far as investments in the community.
Well, I look at it as it's the people's money. It's not my money. It's tax money, and probably am stingier with it than I am my own money, which is... there's a lot of needs out there, and you brought up the Humane Society. That's a great need, and we are responsible for a portion of that. And CASA, there's just so many, and I take it very seriously.
Yeah. So what do you feel like is the biggest issue that's facing the court right now?
I think the biggest issue is probably the sewers out on the south end. You got people with sewage running through their yards because it overflows when it rains, and we just can't have that. When I first came on the court, we had the same thing in Chokeville, and we addressed it and took care of it. And we need to do that for the south end of the county.
Yeah. So when things come up like that, and then kind of relating to my previous question, all these, multiple funds needed, do you base, as far as, how do you prioritize as far as need?
Public safety and the roads, which they run hand in hand, because if you hit a big pothole and total your car, which it happens, that's public safety. But sewage running out in people's yards, to me, is just unacceptable. Mm-hmm. They bought those houses thinking they had a viable sewer system, but they didn't. And it's up to the county, state, and federal governments to fund the projects to get that done. Yeah. And then some of the money will be passed on to the people, but you can't pass all that on to them. It's not their fault.
Yeah. We're at a time when post-COVID, We're facing some uncertain times globally. We're going to see gas prices rising. We're seeing grocery prices rising. Money's going to be tight, not only in people's homes, but in our government. So we ask this question just about every time we have our folks on here. But do you think it's time to revisit the option of a merged form of government in order to save some money and try to be more efficient?
No, the think tanks on that from smarter brains than mine and universities have said that it doesn't save money. And I represent the 6th District, and it's inner city, it's rural, it's agriculture, and when you go to Lexington and look at their trash pickup, that you pay in tiers. So if you're farther out in the county, you pay more for your trash pickup.
Yeah.
And people out in Ball Knob are not going to get the ambulance service that we have here in downtown Frankfort. So I just think that you got to weigh all that when you think about merging but
So if you don't see a need to merge and don't think that it will save money, there is the opportunity, at least for both governments, to work together more efficiently.
Absolutely.
So how would you propose to make that happen?
Well, I mean, we work together on stuff now. We're facing a issue today where the city's inspector is going to be, I don't know what the issue is, but for 9 months we're going to do their inspections. So we work with the city on that. And I think rather than to spend $50, $60, $70 million out at our park, we need to work with the city and build something that's closer to everybody.
Okay.
Or closer to the interstate or the east-west connector, where it's a joint effort, not just the county going off on its own to build something just because a few people think it's a good idea.
Well, that's
we can't afford that.
Leading me into my next question.
Okay.
In our community, we have 2 park systems. We have the city parks master plan that they have, and then now the county's Lakeview Park master plan. So how do you feel about at least merging the 2 park departments for better efficiencies?
Well, I haven't really given that much thought.
Yeah.
They have a whole lot larger park system than ours. At the present, if this thing goes through and we spend all the money on ours, which we don't have, and I don't know. I'd have to really look into that.
So you've seen the Lakeview Park plan, obviously.
Yes.
So is it something that you support, or do you see any? Okay. Well, tell me about it.
I support upgrades to our park.
Yeah.
But I don't support
the current.
They priced that, the Hitchcock Group priced that at $150 a square foot, when the going rate right now is $350 to $400 a square foot. So their $30 million price tag is going to be doubled or quadrupled.
Right.
It's just not viable for
How would we
for the
pay
county.
For it?
Well, they said that the hotel tax, but we've got 3 hotels in the county, and they're right now for the last 8-10 years have been trying to pay off a debt we borrowed for the Grand Theater, and it's still not paid off. It's got a couple years left, I think, which was a great thing. I was against it from the get-go when it happened, but it's turned out to be a really good thing. I was proved wrong on that. But I don't like hotel taxes because people will call and ask about what that tax is, and they'll go to the next town and get a room, because I've done it myself.
Yeah.
So I'm probably rambling on, but
no, I mean these are things that we like to know.
Yeah. I mean,
so what?
I base a lot of my decisions on what would I do or what would Jesus do.
Yeah.
But we go to the Appalachian Museum quite often, and that's in Clinton, Tennessee, and they've got a 17% tax, counting the state and the city tax.
Yeah.
So we say it's Lake City. It's 20 miles away,
Yeah.
but the taxes are 9% compared to 17% on a hotel room.
Right.
And if I think about that, I know other people do too.
Sure.
And 3 little hotels are not going to pay off 30, 40, 70 million dollars.
Yeah. So what is the status of the park plan right now?
Well, right now it's we voted 4-3, I think, to accept the plan. So that's where it's at right now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, does that mean that we're moving forward with it?
Well, not to me. It means we accepted the plan. Doesn't mean we're going to use the plan.
I got you.
But just depends on whether the votes are there, you know. And right now, I think the federal government is weighing whether they want us to build it there or not.
Okay.
They're not liking the idea, I don't think, but we'll see.
So the concept itself, or is that something that you like? I mean, what do you envision? What do we need in our parks?
Ball fields, stuff like what we have, improve upon what we have, not change the whole game.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest needs, according to the people, was this Olympic-sized swimming, and we're not getting that at all.
Yeah.
So, I think something like that needs to be partnered with the city and maybe even the schools or the state, and done in a area more centrally located.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here in our community, and I know nationwide, everybody's talking about, the need for growth. It's something that we've talked about over and over in all of these forums, is the need for growth in our area, economic growth. So how would you define economic development?
Well, jobs, industry. Franklin County is limited. We don't have the real estate that Shelby County has, or Fayette County, or even Woodford County has. We have a river that runs right through the middle and cuts us off, and we need to use that to our advantage. We don't enough. We need to use that river to our advantage.
Right.
And we need to stop turning people down that want to build a factory here or a business out in the county. We just turned a couple down in the last year that would have been good growth, but
yeah,
I'm just one vote on fiscal court.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, and we'll get to that and some other things in just a minute. But I do want to ask, we've been hearing, as far as growth goes, we've been hearing about comprehensive plan, master plan, strategic planning, between our both sets of government here in Frankfort and Franklin County. But at some point and planning is, we have to have the planning.
Have to have a good plan.
Have to have good planning. But at some point there has to be action. And so, as a member of the fiscal court, what actions do you think need to be taken specifically to help produce jobs in our community that have family sustaining wages, good jobs that people can really live off of? What are some actions we need to take?
Well, we've taken actions. We have a great vocational school, and we need a new industrial park, for one thing. We don't have, there's no more land out there, and the land next to it got turned down for a development that would have been several jobs. If you don't create jobs or let jobs in, jobs can be created. We don't create them. They're created by companies that come to a friendly environment. Yeah. And if we're not friendly, they're not going to come to us.
Yeah.
That's not to let them walk all over us, but give them incentives to come to Franklin County and do business.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that.
Well, speaking of, we have a company right here in Frankfort that is looking to expand, Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
is proposing to expand out into the Peaks Mill area. We have people who support that, and we have a lot of people who don't support that.
Yeah.
Are you in favor of allowing Buffalo Trace to build these warehouses in a place that right now is currently zoned agricultural and rural residential?
Yeah. Really, that hasn't come to us yet.
Okay.
So I'm not. I mean, I'm on it, but I would like for Buffalo Trace to address the aesthetics of their buildings. I mean, a big red building sitting up on a hill would be better if it blended in a little better.
Right.
Make them more aesthetic for the people to see. Buffalo Trace is a huge supporter to Franklin County, and Frankfort. But like I said, I haven't seen the particulars on
Okay.
all of it, but I have, or it hasn't come to us. I've
Right.
seen what's out there, but
Yeah.
so.
So you'd like to hear more?
And I'm getting a lot of calls both
I'm
ways.
sure you are, yeah. So then that kind of leads me into the next question, because that's someone in your position, you're going to get a lot of calls about
Sure.
that from both ends. So how do you make that determination when it comes to, it has come to a vote, when it does come to a vote? Because in addition to Buffalo Trace, we've, issues like Duncan Road, rezoning, and some people think that things like that boil down to that you're either like pro-growth or pro-preservation.
Well,
Development versus preservation. And how do you deal with that?
You can do both, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely pro-growth. It's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, because, people that actually live right there looking down on this, it may be an eyesore to them. I don't know.
Right.
And everyone has their own idea of what an eyesore is. I mean, when I go out west, used to go every year to Colorado, I would travel through Nebraska because I saw old farms and barns and trucks sitting on the side of the interstate. Not on the side of the interstate, but you can see it.
Yeah.
Instead of Kansas, where you're just seeing nothing. So, but and I like that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Like I said, they need to make it more pleasant for people, and then there's the algae too. So that can be a problem.
So do you foresee that this is an issue that eventually it's going to be brought to the fiscal court?
Sure.
And that there will be, again, you'll be hearing from both sides.
Right.
And
I'm hearing from both sides
I'm
already.
sure you are. But it's something that's really, all pieces of it are going to have to be examined.
Yeah.
Because we know that Buffalo Trace is a very important part of our community.
And so are our people. So,
Exactly.
So it's a balancing act.
Right. Okay. And I guess my question is, how do you help find that balance?
It's just go with my gut sometimes. But,
Yeah.
But I never do anything to hurt someone or to hurt a business. I do it because I think it's right for the people in the county. So,
Yeah.
for all of Franklin County.
Sure. I'll move on. We're still talking about economic development, and I'm wondering, what do you think the role is of the Kentucky Capital Development Corporation in your vision of what economic development is here in our community?
Well, they reach out to companies all over the world to bring them to Franklin County and to represent our brand and try to get them in here to get jobs. Jobs is what, that occupational tax is what runs this county pretty much, that and property tax. And if you don't want your property taxes going up, you better bring jobs to the community. And, Terry Bradshaw brought us, it was a report. I mean, I'm sure she didn't bring all those jobs to Frankfort, but she brought us a report of a lot of jobs coming to Frankfort. And that's what they do. You need somebody to even if you're not able to bring somebody in, you're still out there tabulating and showing us what is coming in.
Yeah. Well, as you know, the fiscal court provides some of their funding, the KCDC funding. Is that something that you would continue to support?
Sure.
Okay. Same question with Downtown Frankfort Inc. Do you see value in that organization? And
yeah.
Would you support continuing funding of that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Our downtown's important to us, and that's my district.
Oh, cool.
The courthouse, all that
Well,
down
there you
there is
go.
my district.
Well,
We need to get to my district then, don't we?
we do.
But I get calls from people all over the county wanting something
Yeah.
done. So.
Well, sure. Yeah. Still talking about growth, just in general, as far as our community. What does people talk a lot about smart growth? What does that mean to you?
I have no idea. No, that means don't put a junkyard downtown Frankfort. Don't, we would like to see the old Sears building used for something worthwhile.
Yeah.
Don't put an industrial park, in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
So don't put a neighborhood in an industrial park. It's just as important, which is what we've done from time to time.
Yeah. So when we're looking at projects here in our community, we have developers who want to develop maybe on the outside of town. Like the city's looking at developing the paddocks out there by I-64 and 127, and I think I heard them say that they consider that infill, but is that really infill if there's not something? No. Because we have a lot of storefronts and areas in our town that are empty. So what do you think about how we need to be addressing infill here in our community?
Well, you need to recruit businesses to come into the old Sears, but it's just not a good location anymore, I don't think, for retail, but it'd be good office space. But there's just so many, there's little holes here and there, and I think getting businesses to open up and do business in those little holes might be good. Problem you run into is everybody wants to be on the main drag.
Yeah.
So they'd want to get off of the Louisville Road inside of the connectors in 127,
right, and
get out there on 127.
Right.
Everybody wants to be, right there.
Well, and that's just business for you. They want to be where the people are going to be.
Sure, it's understandable.
Yeah. Well, trying to think about what businesses need, what do you see as the top concerns, particularly from the business community here in our community, that the fiscal court should be addressing?
People, they have a hard time recruiting manpower, and that's our biggest problem. Monoplast would probably double their manpower if they could. They just can't. They don't, and it's. I hate to say it, but a lot of it's the drug problem. And, they can't get people to pass a drug test or come and show up to work.
Is there anything that
I don't know what we work with the health department trying to do these things, but I saw we had a conference last week, and they had a guy there that he had been a terrible user of illicit drugs, and they put some things. They shaved his head here and put these little electrodes, just glued them to him, and had a thing about the size of a cell phone.
Yeah.
And you don't say cured, but it took care of all his cravings and sobered him up in 7 days.
Oh, wow.
And he's still, after 2 years, still sober.
I need that for cupcakes.
Yeah, I do for something. Yeah, Pepsi. But
that's amazing.
There's promise out there. It's really not. There's a 90-minute documentary on it that's in the works, but it's not out yet. But,
okay.
something like that would help a lot. I think that's manpower is our biggest problem here.
It is.
And people say our population is stagnant, which doesn't bother me so much because we draw from Owen County and Anderson County and Woodford, Shelby, and
right.
we draw from other counties. But
well, how do you think we can be more competitive with our surrounding counties when it comes to businesses and drawing businesses here?
We cut the occupational tax for them to come in and we'll do, the state does incentives and we do incentives.
Yeah.
And we've done several of those trying to get businesses in here. Of course, Shelby County can do the same thing, but
yeah.
It's hard to compete with Shelby County because they've got all that good flat land and they're twice our size.
Yeah.
So it's and they're but Frankfort is so centrally located. You could be Cincinnati, Knoxville, Nashville in 2 hours. You can be to Chicago and Indianapolis in 3-4 hours. It's we're centrally located interstate wise. If you talk to truckers, they love our industrial parks because they're right there off the interstate.
Yeah.
We just need to find another industrial park.
Well, let's get on it, Lambert.
Yeah, we're on it.
All right, I got one more question before we close up. Do you think the fiscal court, as a public government, is adequately transparent?
Yeah, I think we are.
And you, as far as valuing the importance of transparency for our community.
Yeah. We when I first came on, our work sessions weren't televised, and I was worried that it'd be a lot of grandstanding if they were, and
yeah.
I was right. We went from hour and a half work sessions to 6 and 7 hour work sessions, or 5 hour work sessions, and it's not all grandstanding, but it takes a lot of time, and which doesn't bother me so much as people trying to watch us. I get complaints. They get bored and turn us off.
Yeah.
Can't say as I blame them, but it gets exciting sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're fairly transparent on that, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, we have enjoyed having you here today, and we're going to close it up, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to speak directly to our viewers who are your voters.
Yeah, they are. I hope they are.
Yes. And you can tell them why they need to vote for you.
Well, we didn't talk about my district much. So.
We'll talk about your district.
We've got, of course, it's not just my district. We've got potholes everywhere, and that's a huge concern with people right now because it's knocking their cars out of a line, and they're having to go to the other side of the road to miss them, and the state crews are just overwhelmed. They've only got 4, 5, 6 people on a given day, and they have to do traffic control anytime they work on the roads. It's just they can't do it if they're a man short.
Right.
And the money's not there. It's just it's a huge problem right now, and I don't know why. We didn't have a bad winter, but the potholes are just everywhere.
They are.
And they're working on them.
Yep.
Just ask the people to please be patient with
okay.
them. And we're working on, we've got, I think, 5 deficient bridges in my district. We're going to try to get those replaced. We've got a 1-lane bridge just around the corner from my house that causes all kinds of trouble. There's rocks that fall in the road. And this is a state highway. And it's a 1-lane bridge on a state highway that semis can't cross because it's in a hairpin turn.
Oh, wow.
And I'll get a call from my wife or a neighbor that there's a truck stuck around there, and I run home and help get them out of there. I've had to back trucks around there because the drivers couldn't. All the way around to the church. One driver wouldn't pull down in the church. He backed a mile up the road to turn around. He was able to do that. Some aren't good enough drivers to do that. So that's one of my priorities, is to get that bridge replaced and get that rock verification done and get that. I need medication. So, because the states constantly have to go out there and get those rocks out of the road.
Yeah.
And then they get in the ditch, and a short truck can get around the bend, but he has to get in the ditch. But if there's sharp rocks, he'll bust a tire if he does. So it's a huge problem in my district.
Okay.
And the state has downgraded several of our bridges to 18,000 pounds because we don't have the blueprints where they were built. They call them as-built. And we don't have those, and the state doesn't have them, and nobody has them, so we can't prove to them how much metal's in them or whatever, to get so we're going to have to replace those bridges, and we can't do it without a lot of money from state and federal resources. Just that's my.
Those are the priorities.
Those are my priorities in my district. The county biggest priority to me is those sewer systems being fixed.
Yeah.
And my district is the roads and bridges.
Okay.
And I was looking back at something that I said 4 years ago, not on this, but just when I was running, or it might have been 8 years ago. It was a piece of paper I found in my stuff. I said that the bridges and I've replaced in my district over 20 bridges in my time, and we got a few to go. Okay. And the other two was the new sheriff's office, and we did that, and the new fire station, and we did that. So I need this next term to get these things done that I said I was going to do. There
you go. So
and I need your vote to do it.
There you go. So if you like what you hear.
Well, I'm not a good speaker, I'll give you that, but I say what's on my mind, and other than that, I keep pretty quiet.
Okay. Is there anywhere people can find out more information about you?
Wow, you can call me.
Okay.
Or Facebook. Don't follow me on Facebook. I'm not a good Facebooker.
Well,
but my phone's been out at home. I don't know how many calls I've missed.
Oh, okay.
And for 2 weeks, took them 2 weeks to get my phone fixed. But,
okay.
My cell phone is 502-803-1822.
Okay.
Write it down.
Putting it out there. And you're also, you currently serve on the court, so they can look up the court's website.
And people message me on Facebook all the time.
Okay.
And if I miss it, it's because I didn't see it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you being here today because this is a good forum for you to talk directly to the people. So
I appreciate you having me in here.
Absolutely.
Not asking me anything that was really hard.
I
didn't have to divert anything.
Well, I know our viewers appreciate you being here and hearing directly from you.
I just wish I could get this channel. I've never seen myself on TV.
Are you serious?
No.
Well, we'll have to send it.
I don't really want to see myself on TV.
We'll send it to you directly. We want to thank Lambert Moore for being here and remind our viewers that he's running for re-election of Franklin County Magistrate in the 6th District. So check him out on May 17th in the primary. Go vote, and then tune in live to Cable 10 for the live election returns. It is election season, so it's time to get informed, and that's what we're here for. And once you're informed, then you need to go voice your choice. We'll see you next time.